I'm here at Brampton City Hall to meet with Councillor Rowena Santos. She and I are going to talk about being a politician and a single mom. As a single mom politician, what's the one thing that you feel like no one really actually talks about but is a big issue?
Is our dating life.
I just remember breaking down. If you've had a really hard day, a really stressful day, what's your go-to food? If there was ever a show like The Real Politicians of Brampton, what would your tagline be?
Sometimes Filipinos bring takeout containers.
A lot of people talk about women in politics,
Yes.
but I think being a single mom in politics is its own category, I think, right?
Absolutely. And there are more and more, which is fantastic. We come with a different perspective. So I know that there are a lot of moms as well in politics, but being a single mother adds another intersectional complication for women in leadership as well. So having that representation at the table, we are able to speak and deal with policies that do impact single moms.
Exactly. So let's dive into it.
Yes.
I think we all can empathize and understand with the usual things. Like as a single mom, you struggle to balance your personal life and your work life, and we all know about missed birthdays and missed soccer games. But what's the stuff like that nobody talks about? As a single mom politician, what's the one thing that you feel like no one really actually talks about but is a big issue?
Well, I think if I could be so candid,
one
of the things that isn't really talked about, or especially coming from a single mom's perspective, is our dating life.
You're so right, because you know what, you can't really put a profile on whatever it is. What is it, Tinder or whatever, as a politician?
Oh, hell no.
Start with, right? Like just being a politician, a single politician's hard because you really can't go on Tinder or anything. I mean, you're just like, well, is the Toronto Star going to download your profile? So that's one. And then being a single mom and then being trying to date, right?
It's also another complicated issue. And so what I find so funny sometimes is like, sometimes I feel like, folks out there, residents of public or whatever, they like to talk and spread rumors and know more about my dating life than I do, apparently. And I find that a lot really funny because our schedules are so busy, serving our constituents, working very hard as women, and being the mothers that we are. There is almost no room for any of that. There's no room.
Exactly, And you know what? That's a sacrifice. Like that's a huge sacrifice that I think you as a politician have to make, being single, being a single mom. And that's really unfortunate, right? So, was there ever a time, Rowena, where you felt, I just can't do this anymore? Like, was there ever a moment?
Many times.
Tell me one.
I would say weekly.
I know the feeling,
I'll give you an example. Today, I have a lot on my agenda, a lot on my calendar today, everything from events to meetings to responding to residents' emails to managing the team, to picking up my son from school in the morning. And there are moments where there's so much going on, and we are champions at multitasking. We are. But it's sometimes very overwhelming. And there will be a moment when somebody will send a message. And we get a lot of messages.
I know.
Residents tell us all the time that, some residents tell us all the time that we're not doing a good enough job. But when you layer in all of the different things that are happening on any given day, like for me for today, and you get one of those messages, I understand that sometimes they don't know what your day is like that day. But for me, the impact is, why am I doing this for?
I know.
Like, you are incredibly brilliant and smart, and I'm very capable with a lot of experience as well. We could be doing something else.
Absolutely.
Right? We could be. We don't necessarily have to sacrifice our personal life, our time with our family, our dating lives, only to be bombarded by criticism from folks who think we're not doing a good job. But I take a deep breath, and I also think about some of those other single moms out there.
Exactly.
And some of those other girls out there who, if we were to give up,
what's the message, right?
What's the message to them?
One of the things that I found as a single mom is there's obviously the lack of logistical support, right?
Yeah.
Like you're always like, oh, I wish somebody else could go and pick up my daughter from daycare or whatever. But the one that really hit me the most sometimes, and I want to hear your view, is the lack of emotional support when you feel alone. And I'll share a story. I was in cabinet, so it's a very busy time, and I still remember it was the Cooksville Legion, and I was hosting, I can't remember, some kind of a get together. So it was my event. So I was there, and I was really stressed about my daughter, who was maybe 12 or 13 at the time. She was in Toronto. I'm in Mississauga, and she was supposed to be at the University of Toronto Library doing her homework. And I've been, calling her and texting her, no answer. So I finally call a friend of hers and say, hey, Mila said she was going to be at the library. Can you just pop over and check if she's there? And she comes back and says she's not there.
Oh,
and I still remember that moment where you don't know what to do. And you're like, I wish there was someone who cared as much as I do in this moment of how stressed I am. Like somebody who said like, oh my God, what's going on? Can I help? And I still remember Rowena coming out and literally, I was standing next to the Legion wall outside and keeling down and starting to cry. Like, it's just that moment in time when you're like, I don't know what to do. And am I the only person in this point who cares what's happening to my daughter? There's nobody else. Yeah. And I just remember breaking down. And I'm sure you've had stories like that.
So not too long ago, just a year and a half ago, my son was diagnosed with a chronic disease. I've had to take him back and forth to sick kids a lot last year. And in many instances, I was simultaneously on a regional council meeting or a city council meeting at the sick kids hospital with my son. And other moments where I've had to, physically help him out of bed, but it's also the emotional drain it has on you when you are sitting in meetings, because people are expecting you to be on it, to be prepared.
Exactly.
When you're at an event, you're supposed to be smiling and pleasant for everyone. But meanwhile, when you're dealing with not knowing where your daughter is or dealing with my son who is sick, it's so difficult to sometimes put on that different role.
Exactly.
Like as a mom, as a single mom, it's difficult to let go of that thought of how's my kid doing?
Exactly.
Right? So some of those challenges for us women in politics who are single moms in politics, those are the things we struggle with. I'm so fortunate because my parents live nearby.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And God bless them and the family who is nearby, because in many instances, I don't think I would be able to deal with the different challenges I face daily
without that support. Yeah. And I think there's an extra layer because you're in public life. So you're always a bit conscious about, you don't want the whole world to know what's going on in your life, right? Because you want some privacy. And to your point, like anybody can, like if you visibly show you're distraught, for example, in a meeting, people can then, it's the rumor mill could start, and who knows what story begins. So like you're always thinking about all of the other pieces that I think just add that extra pressure when you're as a single mom. So just moving to some lighthearted stuff.
Yes, for sure.
So tell me, if you've had a really, really hard day, a really stressful day, what's your go-to food?
My comfort food? Yes. Oh my gosh, are you really going to ask me that question? I have to answer it, right?
Yes, because I know you have one. You just have to tell me what it is.
McDonald's double quarter pounder,
good
combo, medium fries, and a Diet Coke.
She's got it down pat. That's amazing. That's so cool. And here's another one. So if there was ever a show like The Real Politicians of Brampton, what would your tagline be?
Oh my gosh, The Real Politicians of Brampton, what would my tagline be? Making it happen.
Oh, I love it. And you know what? I can stand behind that, because I'll tell you one thing. Everybody in Brampton who has Rowena as your counselor, she works really hard and she makes stuff happen.
Thank you.
This has been so great, just chatting about, and it's been so nice to just kind of talk to somebody who's in your shoes, right?
Yeah.
Like now my daughter is older, she's graduating from university, so it's a lot different now. She was 10 when my husband and I separated, so I can tell you, like, that age, 10 to 17, until they go off to university, was was tough logistically, emotionally. You're always,
it is,
you know.
So I have a question for you, because it's on my mind right now as a single mom. My son's at home, and I don't know what I'm making for dinner.
Oh, I know. That's the other piece. That is the other piece. It really is.
Like in between meetings, in between events, when you're at an event or a gala, I'm at an event or gala on a Saturday or Sunday night. My son's at home. I have to actually pre-prepare what he's going to eat for lunch and dinner when I'm gone.
I know. And here's something I'm never going to admit, but I'm going to admit to it. You know, sometimes you go to these events where everybody really, really knows you well. Like it's, you know, you've been there now for the last 10 years, you've been attending. I'm not shy to say, can I just take a little bit for my daughter, right? Because what else are you going to do? Like, I feel guilty. I'm having dinner.
Yeah.
You just haven't had the time to go home to make anything for your child. I mean, she's older now.
Yeah.
But even then, I still carry that guilt. So I'm like, okay, I'll take it back a little bit.
I do. Do you bring takeout containers?
I don't bring them. That's next level.
Sometimes Filipinos bring takeout containers.
That's next level. I'm going to do that next. But you know, it's you know that they're not going to mind, and it's a family kind of event. So yeah, but it's been so great, and I look forward to doing more.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.